People often think their brand is their logo, their colors, or their website. But those are just the things people see. Your brand is what people believe about you and what they say about your company when you're not in the room. Today, we're talking about how that reputation gets built. Welcome back to the Boss's Office, where Rocky and I have honest conversations about business, leadership, growth, and the lessons nobody puts in the manual. Today, we're joined by Tommy Szymanski, owner and CEO of Manski Media. Tommy and his wife, Angela, built Manski Media here in Bend around a simple belief. Great marketing shouldn't just look good. It should help a business grow. Tommy leads the company's overall marketing strategy while Angela helps drive its visual identity, messaging, and creative voice. Tommy is also the host of Nobody Warned Me, a podcast about the lessons, mistakes, wins, and realities of owning a business. Sound familiar?
I know, right?
But beyond the agency and the podcast, Tommy is a devoted husband and father, an avid outdoorsman and hunter. Today, we're going to find out what exactly goes into building a brand, why brand awareness matters, even when it's difficult to measure, and how a business can become memorable without becoming fake. Tommy, welcome to the Boss's Office.
Thanks, Randy and Rocky. It's great to be here. I'm excited. I love talking business with you guys anyways, so doing it on camera is even better.
Yeah. So, give us a story behind Manski Media. Why'd you guys decide, or what made you decide to build?
Oh, my goodness. I'll do the paraphrase version because we don't have enough time.
Yeah.
But the simple answer was I was sick of working in companies where the marketing team never worked with the sales team. And there was this big divide between what sales was saying they needed and what marketing was doing. And they didn't connect. And when you think about it, sales and marketing are the same thing, just different mediums. So I saw a big gap there. But the other component was my wife was a teacher. She was burnt out. Public school teaching's not easy. And was ready to move on to something else. And I used to hand her my phone and be like, can you do a post for me? I don't want to do it and I need it done for sales. And she started doing it for me, was great at it, and then started doing it for other people. And they'd be like, hey, can you do my post for me? And so at one point she tells me, if I could do this all day, every day, I'd be in heaven. And this would be my dream job. And I was like, okay, let's turn that into a business for you. And we turned it into a business for her, just doing social media content creation. She hit capacity in like 3 weeks. And then we decided, okay, do we turn this into a full thing that I'm a part of too? And I had just left my other job doing sales and was doing field marketing as well and was like ready to make a move. And we decided, okay, what would it take if I go all in on this and we turn this into an actual company? Cashed out my retirement and went all in and set, here's kind of my bar. I had to hit this revenue by this point, and I set 6 months. If we're not here, then I'm going to have to look for something else because I don't want to, deplete my reserves. We hit that mark in just over a month.
Wow.
Of where we needed to be revenue-wise to turn it into a full-time gig, and then from there we realized that there's a huge gap in marketing where you have these bougie boutique places that are super expensive and you have these places that are just dirt cheap and garbage. And I wanted to be right in the middle and be able to help a lot more small businesses who they can't afford the bougie, great high-end stuff, but they also don't want to throw their money away on, the cheap stuff that doesn't work. That's kind of the really condensed version of how we started.
So how did you, working with a spouse can be difficult. My wife would tell me that.
Yep.
But so how did you do that with your wife? How do you guys divide up responsibility and how's it working together?
She's nowhere near as involved in the business anymore. She has her set, here's what she does, what she's responsible for. And here's her sandbox that I'm not allowed to touch.
Okay.
So number one, it is having very clear defined roles and expectations and who does what, because otherwise you run into exactly what you're alluding to, the spousal conflict. But we did actually run into that a little bit. My wife, at one point when we were really busy, growing a lot, I think we had like 6 different content creators going full time at one point. She's like, you're acting like my boss. I need you to be my husband. And so we had to kind of
it's got to
really
be tough to
clarify that.
compartmentalize the two, right? So we're here to talk about, obviously, we're here to talk about marketing, branding, advertising. What's really the difference between or behind a company's brand, its marketing, and its advertising?
A couple of parts to that. With the brand is just how are you perceived? When people see or hear about you, what comes to mind? So it's brand awareness is all just about that, like what is your reputation? What do people connect you with? And that's like the simple version of the brand. And so there's a couple of components to marketing, and people do business with someone they know, like, and trust. Those are like the three foundations. So the first thing you have to do is you have to be known. And people can't like or trust you if they don't know you. So brand awareness is huge. And I think a lot of people forget about it and are just like, oh, well, we're good at what we do. And
That should be good enough.
Yeah.
Right.
I think a lot of people get stuck on the idea that your brand is your logo. Like that's the piece. That's my brand, but clearly that's not the case.
No, that contributes. That's just a connecting point. But when you're looking at a whole marketing strategy, you have to look at every component of what you're doing. So if we're looking at what's the difference between your brand versus your marketing or advertising approach, it's all under the same umbrella, but it's just kind of the next phase of the funnels, or what are the different verticals you're using to reach different people. So when we look at things like advertising, what we have to look at first is who is your target demographic.
Right. Who's your customer base?
Yep. How do they find you? And so that's something that I think a lot of people get stuck in, how they shop for certain things, but they don't think about how do their customers shop for their type of service. And I use this a lot with trades. So let's take a plumber, for instance. Who is scrolling social media or watching TV like, I want to watch for a plumber. Is there going to be a plumber on there? No. But
Hey, listen, there have been times where I've thought I needed a plumber and I start scrolling and a plumber appears.
the algorithms do partially read your mind.
Okay, I knew it. I knew it.
It's a proven fact.
Okay, good.
But the biggest thing is when you're looking at how people are shopping for a different type of product or service, are they proactively needing to be told about this, or are they reacting to a situation? So plumbers are a great example of someone who most of the time it's a reactionary kind of service.
Mm-hmm.
A pipe broke, you call a plumber. Where do you go for that? You don't go to social media and look for a plumber on social media. You go to Google and you Google it. So when you're looking at your marketing avenues, you have to figure out how are people searching for your service. And it's not always just one single component either.
Sure.
So,
if your brand is based on how people perceive you, all the work and time and energy somebody spends building a brand can be shattered pretty easy, correct? I mean, you could either bad reviews or just maybe a misconception, or maybe it's a correct perception. But can you adequately change that just through like marketing and advertising?
you can try, and you can make a change. How quick the change is where a lot of people kind of get stuck, because everybody wants everything right now. They don't want to wait. They expect, well, I put some new reviews on Google. Why don't people love me? Why hasn't everything changed? Why am I still at a 4.3 star instead of a 4.9? It takes time. This isn't a ATM you put in your card, it spits out cash, and you won. It's a long process. So
I mean, look at what some of the larger companies in America have done, like Southwest. You always knew Southwest was I can pick my own seat,
mm-hmm.
right? And you knew I can fly for cheap and I can pick my own seat, and then they switched to assigned seating, and all of the backlash that came with it. There was a small group of people who had a very loud megaphone that demanded the change. They gave them that change, and now the masses are all upset, and I don't know exactly what their bottom line looks like.
It's not what it was.
But I think it's a good example of sometimes changing your brand or changing your identity can have an opposite effect of what you intended it to.
Well, that's because they weren't thinking about all of their customer base. Another great, little more controversial example, look at Bud Light. They lost billions because they tried changing their brand and didn't think about who is the majority of their customer base.
Right.
And does this marketing strategy appeal to them, or is it something that they're like, no, that's not what we stand for? And people buy from people they know, like, and trust. And if it's doesn't represent them properly, that's where you saw Kid Rock out there blowing up Bud Light cans with his AK and stuff on Instagram.
That'll do it for you.
Yeah, it's
another example, and we won't go on too much on a tangent, but I think of one of the biggest catastrophic failures in our history has got to be Sears.
Yeah.
Right. Sears was its own economy for so long. And then the .com boom happened. People were able to order online, and rather than change their brand, they stuck to it. And so they were penalized for really sticking to their brand. And as a result, you can see what's happened to their market share.
Absolutely.
When you have like examples of on a positive side, like a Les Schwab, that is, if you ask somebody about that, they're going to tell you that it's the service. They come out running when you pull up, right? They're all dressed in uniform and they're clean cut, and that's their model. You look at Nordstrom, which is a high-end brand, but ultimately you can return any item no matter what condition. There's things like that aren't really part of their logo. It's not something that they advertise. How much does that kind of stuff, like maybe that's more culture, how much does that play into creating a brand?
I think it's a long play. It's not something that stands out right away. And the companies who try to push it as their marketing and lean into their values and try to be like, we're amazing, look at all these amazing things we do, that almost kind of backfires. And I think it's the companies who just do it because that's who they are. Those are the ones that it comes through as authentic and real, and you're not seeing all this fake.
That's a good word. Authentic is a good word.
I think I really think the difference in those two is really reputation.
Yeah.
Right. And reputation does go into that brand funnel, but it's, that's why I go get my tires at Schwab. Could I go get cheaper tires? Yeah, probably. But you know what? I had a flat tire on the way to work 3 weeks ago. Pulled into a Les Schwab parking lot. They popped it off, checked to see if they could fix it. They couldn't fix the tire, so I ended up buying 4 brand new ones for probably a couple $100 more than I could elsewhere. But you know what? I was heard. I felt respected. I felt like my business was valued. They came running out to me. How can we help you? Whereas, a discount super tire store, I'm going to go wait in line, and you know what? Hey, you'll get your cheap tires when it's your turn.
Yep.
And so I will pay the higher price for the experience. It's kind of the Fred Meyer Walmart complex, right? I can get everything I need at Fred Meyer that I can get at Walmart, and I'm probably going to pay, I don't know, 2 to 10% more, maybe even more than that at Fred Meyer than Walmart. And that's because I also go for the experience.
Yeah. Yeah. You get what you pay for, and experience is part of what is a big value to some people.
And you're never going to hear anyone market, hey, you're going to get what you pay for with us.
Yeah.
Exactly.
When you do it, there's all kinds of ways that people are trying to get into the business, whatever business it is. But let's use, Walmart. Walmart was the low price kind of leader. When people come in and say, hey, it's working for them, I want to copy that. I want to do that. That goes against the authentic approach of saying, hey, we're going to do our own thing and we're going to organically grow this the right way. Can that work? If you see something that's working, can you go mirror that and be successful? Or do you really just have to find your own way?
No, the most successful companies are not usually first adopters. It's usually the secondary adopters who have let somebody else vet the market and kind of create a need. Like Southwest, for example, it wasn't the one who pioneered that. They stole that from, which was it? It was another it was almost the exact same name. I forget off the top of my head. It's in Good to Great. But yeah, they stole that model from another company, and to the T, like the no assigned seating, to the quick turnarounds, to the friendly, fun environment.
Well, look at the
that.
Oakland A's,
Yep.
right? Look at baseball.
Yep.
Right. Everybody said that they were crazy what they were doing. And then, I mean, if you've ever watched Moneyball,
Yep.
great movie.
Love that.
Right.
Right. And everybody thought they were absolutely crazy, but they said, no, the math checks out. We're going to do it. And now everyone, not just in Major League Baseball, but everyone in professional sports is now all about the numbers.
Yeah. Microsoft was the same way. You know, they weren't first to the market. They came after the fact. And they picked up what somebody else did, dialed it in, systemized it, and exploded it. And that's really like where I think a lot of businesses mess up, is they want to be the new, the latest, the greatest. I'm cautious on new with our company. Like, I just launched a new SEO and AEO tool and service, and that's something that I held off on for a year and a half because I had access to do it all, but I was like, it's not ready. It's not vetted. It's going to be something that, would it work? Could I sell it? Yeah. But I wanted to make sure that it was fully vetted, that I knew it worked, and that I could stand behind it. And all the bugs have been worked out with these first adopters. So I can come in and be like, okay, now here's how we do it. And it works. And I don't have to use my client's money to figure it out.
You get a lot of people, when we talk about authenticity, a way that people can show that maybe easier is in social media. How important is social media to an overall marketing campaign?
Varies depending on industry. You have to kind of stop and go, first of all, are you interesting? And someone that people will want to pay attention to. So, like, let's stay with the plumbers. Who wants to be like, oh, he was unclogging a toilet today? You know, that's not what people want to see. But if you're someone who has a big personality and you're able to go on and do fun, crazy videos and make it an entertainment thing, then that'll help boost your overall brand reputation. But it's not what's going to drive conversion. So when we're looking at marketing, it's not just about the awareness, because there's 100 different things you can do to get brand awareness and get people to, you know, connect, and social media is one of those, if you have the time and desire and talent to do it right. But just posting on social media is nowhere near as effective or important as it used to be.
So it speaks to the personality, I guess is what I'm trying to say, because, I mean, truthfully, I might be interested on the clogged toilet if I had a clogged toilet. I might, maybe a YouTube video that explained how to fix it, but you're saying on the social media, you're using that for personality.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. It's how you build relationship with people. Like, that's the primary goal of it, is how do you let people stay connected with who you are and what you're doing so they feel like they're a part. It's really good for past client retention or repeat business, increasing referrals, at least organic social media, because you have to understand, when you're posting on Facebook or Instagram or wherever, it's only a percentage of your followers see any given post. So let's say you have 1,000 followers, you post something really cool, you spend 2 hours putting together this fun video, and of that 1,000 followers, you're lucky if 10% see it. So you're like, cool, we spent 2 hours on 100 people to see this, and most of them are going to be employees or competitors. And so you have to really stop and go, okay, what's my valuation of this?
How do you stand out, right? Is it humor? Is it knowledge? Is it likability? Is it a combination of everything? What is really going to help someone stand out in their own field, right? In their own business?
Whoever they authentically are. If they're, just a wealth of knowledge, that's what they need to
be a wealth
into.
of knowledge guy.
Yeah. If you're, a little bit of a ham, you be Randy.
That's right.
But that's where it's like, you just have to be whoever you are, and then accentuate that natural personality.
two big issues in marketing and advertising from a small business owner. One, it's expensive, and you don't always see a direct return right away, and so it's easy to kind of start and stop. And then the second thing is when you get real busy, you stop because you don't want the business, and then if you're not consistent, that can make a difference. What's the right approach for a small business owner trying to step out into, like, I really want to take advantage of a company like Manski Media?
Yeah, it's probably one of the most common questions I get asked is, like, how quickly will I see a return? How much is this going to cost? What should I spend? And for me, I always start with consultations to figure out, like, okay, what's your goal? Where are you right now? And evaluate, okay, if you're a small business who's bringing in $250K a year, then you have to be very strategic in where you put your marketing dollars, because you don't have a $100,000 to throw at marketing for the year. So you have to be very strategic and figure out where's the most bang for my buck. And it goes back to figuring out who your target demographic is. What's the best place to reach them to get the most trackable ROI? So I always say, like, the top two platforms for any marketing strategy are going to be search and social on the paid side. So you need to kind of figure out what's your customer value, like what's your average customer value or lifetime value. And if you're a plumber who is going to get $1,000 a year from different projects for Susie homeowner, then you have to go, okay, I need to be really strategic in how much it costs for me to acquire her. So you're looking at the numbers on everything you do, and that's where I think most people miss out, is they just look at the feelings. So things like television advertising feels really good to be on TV and to see yourself on TV and have people say, oh, we saw you on TV. Like, I'm getting noticed all the time, like, oh, we were at the movie theater, we saw your guys' ad in there for another company that we filmed for. And it's fun because it's like, oh, people see us. But does that convert to actual business? That's the hard part. So that's why I lean so heavy into anything that's trackable, social ads, Google ads, and then working on things like, your Google rankings, your SEO. Right now it's AEO, which is Ask Engine Optimization or AI optimization. So you just kind of have to figure out, where are my clients? How do I reach them the best?
What's a good number to start with? A percentage of revenue? I mean, is it a percentage of?
It can be.
Okay.
When you're in startup mode, it's very different. And so you kind of have to look at the phase of your business. So generally speaking, startups are doing about 10%, give or take, of gross revenue. Once you're established and healthy, right in the 7-8% of gross is a pretty healthy number. And if you're established and just trying to maintain, then you want to be in that 3 to 5% is pretty typical. And that's how you curb those ebb and flows, is by just having a set line item. Here's my budget. So even during the busy seasons, you're like, yeah, I have it going. It's going steady. And during the slow season, it's already budgeted. And you're not pulling back and then being like, well, crap, I'm slow now. Now I have to be reactive and drop a ton of money when most sales cycles aren't 2 days. Most sales cycles, depending on your industry, could be months or years. So
I want to talk a little bit more. You kind of brushed over it, but SEO and AEO and how important those factors are. I got a call earlier this week from a gal in Coos Bay, Oregon, that said that she found us on Google. Coos Bay, Oregon is a 4.5 hour trip from Bend, Oregon.
Yeah.
Yet we came up in their search, and she called us and said, yeah, we need a loan.
Nice.
In Coos Bay. I was like, oh, how'd you hear about us? Oh, I found you on Google. So it just makes me wonder, A, what makes you come up in those searches? And B, how do geographics come into play? How do all these different things come into play? If I'm going to just start shelling out money for advertising and marketing, how do I know where it's going?
Yeah.
Right?
Well, you
How do I know-
have two different components going on with where you rank. You have the organic rankings, which is you're not paying to be there, and then you have the paid side where if you're doing Google ads or social ads, you're paying for that placement. So with the paid side, you can go anywhere. So it doesn't really matter. If you want Coos Bay, if you want Miami Beach, you just pay to play and you show up. The organic side, which is how do you naturally rank, what goes into your actual rankings is a very, very complex algorithm.
It's not just reviews.
No.
It's not just, hey, I got 100 5-star reviews. How come I'm number 7 on the list?
Not even almost.
How many of the plumbers listening to us right now are like, yeah, that's me. I've got all these 5-star reviews and I'm way down here.
Probably not many. I'm guessing they don't have many reviews. Actually, I mean, it's common. And I actually have another client who refuses to ask for reviews. But they're booked out quite a ways and their ads are killing it and they have plenty of business. But I'm like, we're starting SEO work for them to try to get them ranking. But I'm like, first thing is here's a Google review card. Every single client you finish a project with, have them leave a review. So depends on which Google or which search ranking you're working on. So like the local services. So anything on the map when you Google something that has a business listing and it'll show you their location and all that. That reviews are huge. But then you're looking at how the website's built, the code with the website, how many pages there are, how many links there are, how many page links, how many outside the website links.
This all affects where you're going to fall in line in the ranking.
This is the tip of it.
So this is the 30,000-foot view of all the things that go into it.
There's a lot, especially with the AI right now. Like that's completely changed everything.
So when we can measure, right? So we started measuring with Google Analytics through Manski Media, and it says, okay, 200 people visited our website. How many of those do you think are AI?
A good chunk.
But
we do have bots turned off on your website, so it at least limits it. But we have to be careful there because one of the things we run into is all the search algorithms are bots.
Right.
And so to make sure that your ranking's good, we have to have certain filters in place to allow the right bots to scan your website and see who you are, what you do, how you do it, all that kind of stuff, while filtering out all the spam that's going to come through and just blast your website.
So we were talking earlier about being authentic. What happens if you don't have a perfect 5-star rating? Is it better to be a little bit more human and have a 4.8 or a 4.9? Or is it better to have that perfect 5-star rating? Because when I'm looking at companies, I'll look at the top 3 or 4 and I'll see how they've got 200 reviews and they got perfect 5 stars. And I'll see the one below them that has 100 reviews and they're at like a 4.8 average.
Yeah.
I kind of want to call the 4.8 average one. I'll go read those dissatisfied reviews because not everyone can be perfect all of the time. And so when I see a website that has hundreds or thousands of reviews and they're all 5 stars, I find that hard to believe.
It is. And it's because they use software that basically pre-screens reviews. So basically what they'll do is they'll finish a job, part of the invoice system sends over, leave us a review. And if it's over 4 or 5 stars, then it links them through to Google to submit. And boom, they get a 5-star. If it's under 3 stars, it filters them to this other funnel and basically says, we're sorry about that. How can we help? And it never posts to Google. So that's why you have these companies with thousands of reviews, and most of them are corporate, some kind of franchise or something like that.
Sure.
But as far as what is the best, if you are not a 5-star, you need to look at how you respond to any of the negative reviews. That goes a long ways.
Kind of off on a tangent here, but going with Manski Media, you have a lot of different roles in the company, and obviously you've learned quite a bit in the time that you've dove into this. And I mean, there's content creation, there's graphic artists, there's apparently people that do SEO. I don't know what that person is, but like you have different roles. When you are going through and you lose somebody for one reason or another, how do you backfill as a company? What do you do in that capacity, like to backfill for that special niche that person was doing?
I usually cry
for a little while.
For a little while, and go drink it off, and then come back. But really, part of what I've been doing is trying to do as much cross-training as I can with my team and making sure that I don't have one single point of failure. And so that helps during that sequence, that or I work stupid amounts of hours to backfill while we're in that search to find the right person. And that it just depends on our demand. But really, I'm lucky because this is an industry that there are a lot of people who want to be in it, and there's not a lot of jobs available, especially not full-time employment. Most of it's gig work. You get a project here, like videographers, for example, which that's usually my toughest, to find someone who's a good, stable videographer who doesn't want to be like, oh, I'm going to go travel and do this video shoot over in Montana for 3 weeks. I'll be back. Or something like that, or someone who wants to follow direction because they're artistic, so that becomes part of the struggle. But there's so many people who want to be in this industry that it's not too hard to find good, qualified people. It's then making sure that they're the right fit for my company and our culture, because that's just as, if not more important to me than do they have the skill set? Because I can find the skills, but I just need the right people.
So you started a podcast too. Why did you start Nobody Warned Me? You never warned me that you were doing a podcast.
It has been one of those things that I have wanted to do. My wife and I have talked about forever. And really the last couple of years, I've been in just business management growth mode and personal development. Like, how do I become a better business owner? How do I become a better boss? How do I run this the right way? Because we've ebbed and flowed way more than I like. We had higher churn than I wanted. Our employee attrition rate was not where I wanted it. Like, I want to be a badass when it comes to running my business. And so I dove into insane amounts of books and, planning retreats where I did a whole almost week, the couple of days before Christmas, couple of years ago, and with that I got into this, like, okay, now I need to be better at this. And through all that, I started realizing there's so much stuff that you just never get taught about running a business well. And those things that it's like, man, if someone would have just told me this simple little trick, like understanding how your employees are wired, and how important that is, and what are their strengths. And one of the books I absolutely love, I know I've told you about it, 6 Types of Working Geniuses. Great book, Patrick Lencioni. Pretty much all his books I love. But that was one that it really started clicking, like, wait, I need to make sure that everyone's natural skill sets are being optimized and utilized. And, going back to the good to great or great by choice, right person, right seat, and shifting people around. And so the podcast was kind of that, number one, what do we need for our social media? Because we're a media company who hates doing social media ourselves. We're kind of like the plumber with the leaky toilet at times, where it's like we take care of our client stuff, but then getting to our own, it's like, I don't have time for this. But that's something I love to sit down and just talk about business for hours. And so that was kind of what initially started it, and the fact that podcasts can be multi-purposed for so many different marketing things very quickly and efficiently. And so when you're looking at a cost analysis of where should I, allocate time, employee time and resources, if you have a good podcast, if you have things to talk about, if you're, a personality or someone that people know and turn to for your topic, it can be a great thing, which I know that was one of the things you'd kind of wondered was, should everybody have a podcast?
Yeah.
No.
Why not?
Because some people are.
Man, I love cringy podcasts. They're just so much fun. Listen, you know, before we wrap things up, you'd said something that really stuck out to me. It's like that desire to be a better leader, to be a better boss, and constantly working on yourself and finding the balance of being a better person, also running a company. And, you know, I joke about it in here a little bit that it's lonely at the top, but it really is. Mm-hmm. And so thank you for bringing that podcast, and thank you for having me on it. Actually, I think you had me on it at the Home and Garden Show a few months ago.
Yep.
And you know, that's what a lot of people don't really talk about, don't spend a lot of time talking about, is as a small business owner, what are some of the stresses? Mm-hmm. Right? Oh, like payroll shows up when it just keeps showing up. There's never a break on payroll, which I haven't figured that part out yet. Rocky, if you could look into that for me, that'd be great.
Be more profitable if it didn't show up.
Yeah.
But I really do think that small business owners are gluttons for punishment. Mm-hmm. You know, you do this for the love, not necessarily the love of money. Otherwise, you'd probably work for someone else and have a little more free time.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think one of the big things with that is that we're kind of told that all the weight sits on our shoulders if you own a business or if you're one of the leaders. It's like everything is your responsibility. Things don't roll downhill, they roll uphill. Mm-hmm. And one of the hardest things is when you're in that stress and pressure, like having an outlet to be able to even talk and vent and you know, strategize with someone else. And I think the hardest part for most business owners is being vulnerable enough to say, I don't know. Right. I don't have the answers. I need help, something of that nature. And that's why you see, you know, a ridiculous failure rate in the first 5 years or 7 years for businesses is people don't know how to do it all, and they can only do so much.
You finally just tap out.
That's the scariest thing. And that's really why, I mean, when in a scenario like that, it's easier to ignore it and avoid it. I don't want to learn that because I don't want to be vulnerable. I don't want to tell somebody I don't know, especially an employee where I'm supposed to know everything. So when that starts to get hard, I think you can begin to realize how important it is to have other people in your boat with you.
All right, rapid fire before we wrap this thing up. What's one branding trend that needs to die?
Influencers.
What's the most underrated marketing platform?
Ooh. Email.
Email.
Wow.
Yeah.
As a marketing platform.
It's cheap.
Yeah.
Okay. Who's a better marketer, Tommy or Angela?
Marketer, me. Designer, Angela.
Well, designer wasn't part of the question.
Yeah.
One thing every business owner should do this week.
Have a business meeting for connection.
Dream hunting trip.
New Zealand red stag.
Okay, all right, I like that one. One word you hope people use when describing Manski Media.
Relational.
Okay. And last but not least, what is more important, creativity or consistency?
Oh. They're two sides of a coin.
Two sides of the same coin?
Yeah.
All right.
You have to be consistent, but if it's not done well and not creative, it's pointless. So you got to have both.
I feel like we could have a 4-hour podcast just talking about marketing, branding, brand awareness, all of the things that Manski Media does. Thank you so much for coming on here today. It's been a great conversation. I think the big takeaway is that, isn't something you create once and put on a shelf. It's built or damaged during every advertisement, every customer interaction, every promise a company either keeps or breaks. People want to learn more about Tommy and his team is at manskimedia.net.
Yep.
All right. All right. Thanks so much. You know that it's lonely at the top here at the boss's office. We'll see you on the next one.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.